Too many Toyotas. Hello everybody, this is Triple T or Too Many Toyotas, coming to you for the first time in 1920 by 1080p on my new Canon camcorder I just picked up yesterday. I was tired of using my smartphone camera, and I figured I'd do a video on the car that I've been driving the last couple months, because my 1988 Camry station wagon died a death at the hands of Michigan rust. Might throw in a little compilation right here. But anyway, this is my 1991 Camry DX sedan. I picked it up for $450. It had a blown up automatic transmission in it, so I put a 5-speed manual from my station wagon in it. I actually just pulled all that stuff out thinking I might need it again, and I did. So, used it all, put it all in there, and it's got 165,000 miles approximately. I swapped in my gauge cluster though, so it's not accurate anymore. It says 315,000 on it now. But anyway, the wheels on this car are from a 1987 Celica GTS. They're actually from the parts car that I used to build my race car. The one that I mentioned, the 86 Celica GTS Walkaround, that one. And then this wing here is from a 1991 Corolla GTS. It just, I drilled some holes in the trunk and put it on. None of the rubber seals are, well, I put the rubber seals in that were included with the wing from eBay, but nothing else. It doesn't leak though. The only thing that does leak is that reverse light right there. It's not related to anything I did. I think it's already leaking like that. But yeah, so this car has the DX package, which includes power windows, sunroof, and some other things. Harley Davidson people. Yeah, I live by a busy street if you haven't noticed. It kind of sucks. Anyway, we'll take a look at inside. The automatic seatbelts actually function in this thing. Unlike the Camry wagon I had. So as you can see, I got my tack cluster from the wagon in here. The only thing is the DX package doesn't come with a tack. You have to get the LE for that. I have a nice Kenwood stereo. As you can see, 5-speed manual. All that stuff just bolts right up. And then, yeah, it's just pretty nice in here. It's got DX seats there. They have 3 different grades of seats for the 3 different option packages, which I thought was pretty amazing. LE seats are even different from DX, which, you know, I guess. AC doesn't work, you know, whatever. It actually had a charge in it when I took it apart for the transmission swap, but it's R12, so I couldn't recharge it. This wheel right here is also from an 86 Celica. It bolts right on, but the thing is you have to cut up the plastic that's behind here because the hub diameter on the inside of the wheel is actually too big to fit. So you have to cut up the plastic that's back there just a little bit to make it fit. But yeah, I'll cut to an underhood shot here in a second. Hello everybody, we're back. This is the underhood of my Camry. It's pretty clean under here. I did the manual swap on this car. It's pretty straightforward. It's a bolt-in swap. You just gotta make, well, in my case I put in some clutch lines that weren't stock, but you can also just reuse the stock clutch lines from the car you pulled it out of. I made this copper line right here because mostly the fittings on the car that I had were pretty bad. But anyway, that's a long story. Basically, I had my clutch ended up being full of air every week because the fittings were bad, so I just ended up making my own, like, the whole way. And yeah, because on a stock Camry, the clutch line fitting is like back there, so it's really hard to get to. You can see I got this line running across still because I actually had the stock set up in terms of line placement, which it goes down from there and then under the distributor and out here. Instead I just ran it past over here and just bypassed it. Just made one big line instead of that whole thing where it kind of has 2 fittings in it because it kept getting full of air somehow. I don't know, it must have had bad fittings. But yeah, other than that, it's just a bolt-up swap with, you have to switch. If your car has a 6-bolt flywheel, you might have problems, but this was a 91, so it has a 8-bolt flywheel. So that means you can just bolt up everything and it'll work. But some early cars have 6-bolt flywheels and you might have a problem there. But yeah, other than that, it's just a bolt up, and then you have to drill a big hole in the firewall for that, obviously. And because they give you the indents in the firewall where that's supposed to go, but they don't actually drill the holes. So you have a guide, but not a hole. And then the same for the shifter cables. You have to drill like a 2 or 3 inch diameter hole in the firewall down there, which that's why it's easier to pull the whole engine if you're going to do it, because you can technically get away with pulling the trans without pulling the engine, but then you got to work around that if you want to do it. So yeah, and then I just have the shifter computer from the old auto just sitting here, and I just have it shifted into neutral so the dashboard shows neutral all the time. So that's sorry, it's just that's how the computer has a pass-through to start the thing, is that has to be in park or neutral. Only downside then is the cruise control doesn't work, is that it's supposed to be in drive for the cruise control to work only. So at that point you're in neutral, but so it doesn't have cruise anymore. But that's a decent trade-off in my opinion. Since I got the car with a completely blown-up auto, it's better than having no trans. So, or I could just come up here and switch this to drive every time I started the car, but that'd be extremely pain in the ass, so I'm not going to do it. Anyway, yeah, it's a super clean engine bay. This car is actually, let me see if I can find the sticker. It's actually California emissions, but it doesn't show it up there. It has 2 catalytic converters, and most Camrys only have 1 oxygen sensor, so they'd only most of them only have this one. That one has a second one down there for cat efficiency. So yeah, California car in Michigan somehow. I don't know how it got here. But anyway, I'm gonna go for a drive here. Okay. We're back for our drive. This is more of a test recording for my camera than anything. No music. Anyway, that what I had there. I got this Kenwood radio in here. That's it's a USB stick. It's just a 64 gigabyte USB stick. It's got like 800 songs, and that radio has a shuffle mode. And you just go through, and it takes like 2 weeks. You see, I just take songs off like YouTube and stuff and SoundCloud. There's websites out there for that. I don't know why anybody would do it any other way, because I mean it's just like pretty simple. Anyway, I've had like 0 problems with this car this winter, so that's nice, but I don't know, it's just like a really smooth driving car. Can't ask for much more. 450 bucks. That's all I paid for it. And I probably got like, I rebuilt the entire front suspension. I got probably like 500 bucks in that. Like 500 bucks in that, plus the new clutch and flywheel and all that, and the pretty much everything to get it to where it is from where it was. But I mean, oh yeah, it needed struts really bad too. That's what that the thing in my intro is. It's just this with the really crappy struts that it had. You could actually get it, I don't know if it shows very well in the intro, but you could get the thing to actually get all the way off the ground just by messing with it like that. But yeah, I don't know. Mostly just a test recording for that new camera I got. I got a tripod in the back seat. It's kind of the same way I did for that Tercel video that's got all those views. Which, yeah, I'm kind of surprised how many views those things got. It's like people actually care about those old Tercels, man. The thing is, that's just, it's kind of the Radwood effect. I'm on that group on Facebook, Radwood, and Underappreciated Survivors is another one, where like basically all these people that were completely disregarding the old cars like I like to keep around are just like, all of a sudden everybody's going nuts over like 98. I made a post the other day with like a 96 Taurus in rose mist metallic that I saw at the gym, which is actually where I'm heading right now. And I expected it to be like, oh, a couple people be like, oh cool, like that's kind of a rare color, isn't it? Which it is. It's like the least production color for a Taurus. But that post got like 150 likes and like 30 comments. And I'm like, what is this? This is like a, you know, these cars are like worthless, man. Nobody cares about these things. Apparently people do now. So I like to think I got in this movement a little early. You know, these cars, you know, the thing about all these old cars is people like to like idolize them and stuff. I mean, they're super easy to come across if you know where to look. And, you know, they're not really that impressive. I mean, I paid 450 bucks for this thing. It's not like it's, like it's some super rare unicorn. They made 1 million of these things. It's just that you gotta have the initiative to just go out and find one, even if it's broke. Like this one was. Like with a completely blown up transmission, wouldn't go in any gears. You have to just take the initiative, be like, yeah, this is what I want. And then you have to go out, fix it, make it yours. And that's all. I mean, people don't have the effort to do that anymore, and they just like go out and they buy new stuff, and then they're like, oh, why are all these old cars going to the junkyard when they're so nice? It's because people like you aren't saving them. Like this car had no hope left in life until I got it. It actually sat on Facebook Marketplace for 5 months because I was like literally broke at the time and couldn't afford it. And I just waited and waited. And I told the guy, I'm like, when I get some money, maybe I'll call you back or whatever. And finally got the money 5 months later, and it was still out there. Nobody'd made an offer on it. He said I was still the only one to message him the whole time. I mean, if you want a cool car, the answer is go out and get one. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of work. It's not always easy. But, yeah. Anyway, I guess I'll talk about my life a little bit since I haven't in a while. I'm actually a Toyota mechanic now. Started working at my local Toyota dealership as a mechanic about 3.5 months ago. And it's going pretty well. It was kind of my goal in the whole time I was in college. I went to college for 2 years for auto tech at a local community college. At the time, I took 3 years to do a 2-year degree because during the time I was making those all-track videos on the channel, the $200 all-track, I was actually taking art classes to be a car designer at the time. But my passion just wasn't there. Like, I was just, at the same time I was doing art homework and working on that all-track, and I just wasn't, I was enjoying working on that old shitty car like way more than I was enjoying doing my art homework. So, you know, I came to the point where I had to make a choice between transferring to the college that I was planning on going to for design and doing something else with my life. And I just like, you know, I said to myself, like, what do I actually enjoy doing more? And it ended up being a mechanic, so I just ended up doing that instead. I just stayed at the same college I was at and just switched programs. Ended up being lucky. I ended up using all my same gen eds that I was going to use for the other thing, so I was already done with all my gen eds at that end of that year, so just ended up doing that. And I was working part-time at a place for a while, but during college, and I actually ended up learning a lot more there than I did at college. The thing is, if you're planning on being a mechanic, you don't really need to go to college for it. It helps, but not really that useful, I'd say. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it like a 4 in terms of actual usefulness. I mean, you end up learning a lot more of like the electrical stuff and things that if you just like started out at a dealership working quick loop, you wouldn't really know all that stuff. I mean, you'd learn the soft skills, but you wouldn't end up with some of the higher tech knowledge. That's the only advantage I had. It's like I ended up learning some of the stuff about like sensors and high-tech electrical circuits and all that you wouldn't have learned being an oil monkey in a dealership. So I ended up walking right into that dealership as a technician. I didn't have to go through the quick loop thing. That's the other part. If you don't want to change oil for your whole first couple years at a dealership, if you're trying to work at one, then you go to college and you get your degrees. It helps if you have a couple ASEs also. I have one. I don't have the rest of them yet. But, yeah, I don't know. That's just a little bit about it. But, I'm almost to the gym, so I guess I'll cut the video here. But, anyway, this Triple T or Too Many Toyotas signing off.